The silent invasion. Earth had always considered itself alone in the cosmos, a solitary blue marble spinning in the vast emptiness of space. For centuries, humanity had gazed at the stars, wondering if anyone else was out there. They sent signals, built powerful telescopes, and launched probes into the darkness, hoping for an answer. But the universe remained silent. Or so they thought. The first signs were subtle. Scientific instruments began recording anomalies that defied explanation. Deep-sea monitoring stations detected strange vibrations beneath the ocean floor. Weather patterns shifted unexpectedly, creating phenomena meteorologists couldn't explain. Across the globe, animals started behaving erratically, as if sensing something humans could not perceive. Dr. Elena Reyes, a brilliant astrophysicist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was among the first to notice something truly alarming. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had changed. The orbits of several large asteroids had shifted, defying the immutable laws of physics. When she brought her findings to her superiors, they dismissed her concerns as calculation errors. The math doesn't lie, Elena insisted during a tense meeting with JPL's director. Something is manipulating these asteroids, and it's not natural. Dr. Reyes, do you understand what you're suggesting? Director Harmon replied, his voice low and measured. That some extraterrestrial force is moving celestial bodies without our knowledge. I know how it sounds, Elena admitted, but look at the data yourself. These aren't random deviations. The director sighed heavily. I'll assign a team to double-check your calculations. But until then, keep this to yourself. The last thing we need is public panic over unverified theories. Elena left the meeting frustrated but undeterred. That night, she stayed late at the observatory, scanning the asteroid belt with every instrument at her disposal. Around midnight, she captured something that made her blood run cold. A brief flash of light where no light should exist, followed by the sudden acceleration of a nearby asteroid. She immediately sent the footage to her colleague, Dr. Marcus Wong, a quantum physicist known for his unconventional theories. Elena, this is extraordinary, Marcus said during their secure video call. His normally calm demeanor had given way to barely contained excitement. Whatever caused that flash is bending space-time in ways we've only theorized about. So it's definitely artificial? Elena asked, her heart racing. Without question. And extremely advanced. Marcus paused, his expression darkening. Elena, I think we need to consider the possibility that we're witnessing the early stages of an invasion. An invasion. The word hung in the air between them, heavy with implications. But why so secretive? Why manipulate asteroids instead of just arriving? Perhaps because they don't want us to know they're coming until it's too late. The next morning, Elena was summoned to a classified meeting at the Pentagon. To her surprise, Marcus was there too, along with military officials and scientists from around the world. The atmosphere was tense, the faces grim. General Laura Chen, head of the newly formed Extraterrestrial Threat Assessment Division, spoke first. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to discuss never leaves this room. She activated a holographic display showing a global map dotted with red markers. In the past 72 hours, we've recorded 43 incidents worldwide that can no longer be explained away as natural phenomena. The display shifted to show footage of a wheat field in Kansas, where the crops had formed intricate, mathematically precise patterns overnight. Then to a coastal town in Japan, where the sea had briefly receded, revealing glowing symbols etched into the exposed seabed before the water returned. We believe Earth is under observation, possibly infiltration, by an advanced non-terrestrial intelligence. The general continued. We're calling them the Voidborn, based on their apparent ability to manipulate space-time. Elena exchanged glances with Marcus. Their worst fears were being confirmed. Why aren't we informing the public? Asked a British scientist. Because we have evidence suggesting these entities can intercept and interpret our communications, General Chen replied. They appear to be studying us, learning our weaknesses before revealing themselves. If we broadcast what we know, we may accelerate their timeline. Over the following weeks, a global shadow network of scientists and military personnel formed what they called the Resistance. Working in secret, they developed new methods of secure communication and began tracking the Voidborn's activities. Elena and Marcus led a team focused on understanding the aliens' technology. They theorized that the Voidborn existed partially in another dimension, allowing them to observe our world while remaining largely invisible to conventional detection methods. The breakthrough came when Elena discovered a pattern in the anomalies. They occurred in sequence, moving across the planet like a scanning beam. Using this knowledge, the Resistance began setting traps, special instruments designed to capture more data when an anomaly was predicted. One such trap in the Australian outback yielded the first glimpse of their silent invaders. The footage, though distorted and brief, showed a translucent, geometric entity that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Its movements were precise and deliberate, as it extracted what appeared to be samples from the soil. They're not just observing, Elena realized as she studied the footage. They're harvesting genetic material, analyzing our planet's composition. Preparing for colonization, Marcus added grimly. The situation escalated rapidly after that. Satellites began failing without explanation. Power grids fluctuated worldwide. And most disturbing of all, reports emerged of people going missing only to return days later, with no memory of their absence, but subtle changes in their behavior. 6 months after the first anomalies were detected, the Resistance confirmed their worst fear. The Voidborn had established bases on Earth, hidden within dimensional pockets that made them virtually undetectable. From these bases, they were sending controlled bursts of information back to their point of origin, somewhere in the vicinity of Proxima Centauri. They're reporting back, General Chen said during an emergency meeting, likely preparing for the main invasion force. Then we're out of time, Elena replied, her voice steady despite her fear. We need to implement Operation Lighthouse. Operation Lighthouse was a desperate plan, considered too risky by many in the Resistance. It involved sending a powerful signal into deep space, directed at regions where ancient astronomical data suggested the presence of advanced civilizations. The signal would contain information about Earth, humanity, and the Voidborn invasion. It's a massive gamble, the general argued. We'd be announcing our existence to the entire galaxy. Who knows what might answer? We already know what happens if we do nothing, Elena countered. The Voidborn will continue their silent takeover until they control everything. At least this gives us a chance. After heated debate, the Resistance voted to proceed with Operation Lighthouse. Using a network of repurposed radio telescopes and experimental quantum communicators, they prepared to send humanity's most important message. On a cold night in December, Elena stood in the main control room of the hidden facility in the Chilean Andes. Around her, scientists and military personnel worked with focused intensity, making final preparations for the transmission. Quantum beacon is charged and stable, Marcus reported. Translation matrix is online. Signal path is clear, another technician confirmed. No Voidborn activity detected in the vicinity. Elena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. They were about to reveal Earth's location to unknown forces in the galaxy. It could bring salvation or doom. But doing nothing meant certain defeat. Commence transmission, she ordered. The facility hummed with power as the quantum beacon activated, sending a precisely modulated signal that would travel faster than light through artificial wormholes created by the technology. The message was comprehensive. Earth's location, human biological data, evidence of the Voidborn infiltration, and a desperate plea for assistance. Transmission complete, Marcus announced after several tense minutes. Now we wait. They didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, monitoring stations around the world detected a massive surge of energy at the edge of the solar system. Something was coming, something far more powerful than the Voidborn. Elena stood on the observation deck of the Resistance's mountain base, looking up at the night sky where a new star now shone, growing brighter by the hour. "Do you think they're friendly?" asked a young analyst standing beside her. Elena could only offer a small, determined smile. "We're about to find out." The fate of humanity now rested on how the approaching entities would respond to Earth's desperate signal, and whether humans could prove themselves worthy allies in a cosmic conflict. They were only the unexpected alliance. The approaching light grew brighter with each passing hour, its radiance cutting through Earth's atmosphere like a beacon of either hope or doom. Military forces worldwide were placed on high alert, though most leaders understood the futility of conventional weapons against beings to understand. The resistance had established a secure communication hub in their Andean facility, where representatives from every major nation gathered to form a unified response. Screens displayed the approaching entity, not a single ship as they'd first thought, but a fleet of massive vessels arranged in a perfect geometric formation. Their configuration suggests a hive mind, or at least a deeply unified consciousness, Marcus observed, studying the holographic projection. "The precision is beautiful, actually." Elena nodded, equally mesmerized by the aliens' approach. "They're making no attempt to conceal themselves. Either they don't fear our weapons, or they're deliberately showing peaceful intentions." General Chen wasn't convinced. Or they're so confident in their superiority that stealth is unnecessary. The debate about how to respond was cut short when every communication device on Earth, from military radios to civilian smartphones, simultaneously received the same message. It appeared as a series of mathematical equations followed by simple geometric symbols that somehow conveyed meaning directly to the human mind. "We are the luminary." The message began, the symbols transforming into comprehensible language in the recipient's consciousness. "We have heard your call. We recognize the Voidborn signature. We come to assist." Relief swept through the Resistance Command Center. Though caution remained, the luminary requested a meeting with Earth's representatives at a specific location, the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. "It's a test," Elena realized. "They've chosen a place that's accessible but requires effort to reach. They want to see if we're willing to make that effort." 24 hours later, Elena found herself among the small delegation climbing the final stretch to Kilimanjaro's peak. The group included General Chen, Marcus, and representatives from various nations. As they crested the ridge, collective gasps escaped their lips. Hovering above the summit was a being of pure light, its form vaguely humanoid but constantly shifting, as if composed of living energy. Around it, the air shimmered with translucent displays showing star maps and complex equations. "I am Sentinel," the being communicated without sound, its thoughts flowing directly into their minds. "I speak for the Luminary Collective." Elena stepped forward as the designated scientific representative. "I am Dr. Elena Reyes. Thank you for answering our call." The being's light pulsed gently. "Your signal was unexpected. This sector has been considered dormant for millennia. The Voidborn believed no sentient species would evolve here without intervention. They were wrong about us," General Chen stated firmly. Indeed, Sentinel's form shifted, becoming more defined. "The Voidborn are harvesters of genetic potential. They seek worlds with unique evolutionary paths, infiltrate them slowly, and extract what they consider valuable before terraforming the planet for their own use." "And what do the Luminary want?" Marcus asked directly. "Balance," came the immediate response. "The Voidborn represent stagnation, a belief that the universe should be ordered according to their singular vision. We believe in diversity, in the unexpected potential of unique evolutionary paths." The being's light intensified. "In you, we see something remarkable. A species that developed both intelligence and compassion despite having no contact with galactic civilization." The Luminary explained that they were an ancient race who had evolved beyond physical form thousands of years ago. They had been in conflict with the Voidborn for longer than humanity had existed. A cold war played out across the galaxy between fundamentally opposed philosophies of existence. "We can offer technology, knowledge, protection," Sentinel continued. But we cannot simply solve this problem for you. The Voidborn must be driven from your world by humanity itself, or they will simply return when we depart. Why? Elena questioned. If you are so advanced. Because this is your world, Sentinel interrupted gently. Your evolution, your path. We can guide, but if we simply eliminate the threat for you, we become no better than the Voidborn, imposing our will upon your development. The terms of alliance were established over the following days. The Luminary would provide humans with technology to detect the Voidborn and disrupt their dimensional phasing. They would share knowledge about the invaders' weaknesses and strategies, but the actual fight would be humanity's own. Scientists and engineers worked frantically to integrate Luminary technology with Earth's existing infrastructure. What might have taken decades of research was accomplished in weeks with the guidance of their new allies. Elena and Marcus led teams that developed special devices called phase disruptors that could force the Voidborn to remain fully in our dimension, making them vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Voidborn, realizing their covert operation had been compromised, accelerated their plans. Dimensional rifts began opening in major cities worldwide, allowing more of their kind to enter Earth's reality. Their true forms were finally revealed, crystalline entities with complex geometric structures that seemed to fold in on themselves in impossible ways. They moved with cold precision, harvesting genetic material from humans and other species, while establishing dimensional anchors that would eventually allow their world to merge with Earth's. The first major confrontation occurred in Sao Paulo, Brazil. A resistance team equipped with phase disruptors managed to trap a group of Voidborn in our dimension. The military forces that followed and used specially designed weapons that targeted the aliens' crystalline structure, shattering them into harmless fragments. It was the first victory, but it came at a heavy cost. The Voidborn retaliated by accelerating rifts in other locations, overwhelming human defenses with sheer numbers. We need a more coordinated approach, Elena argued during an emergency strategy session. These individual battles are too costly. What do you suggest? General Chen asked. We use their own network against them. Elena brought up a holographic display showing energy paths between Voidborn bases. Sentinel confirmed that they're connected through quantum entanglement. If we can access that network and introduce a disruption signal, we could disable all of them simultaneously. Marcus finished, excitement building in his voice. The plan was audacious and dangerous. It would require a team to infiltrate the Voidborn's main dimensional anchor, a massive structure hidden beneath the Antarctic ice, and plant a device that could hijack their quantum network. Helena insisted on leading the mission herself, along with Marcus and a special forces team trained in using the new Luminary-enhanced equipment. Sentinel provided detailed intelligence about the anchor's defenses, but reminded them that according to the Alliance terms, no Luminary could directly participate in the operation. Your species must demonstrate its will to survive, Sentinel explained. The galaxy watches, Elena Reyes. This moment will define humanity's place among the stars. The Antarctic mission launched under cover of a massive global offensive, while resistance forces engaged Voidborn entities worldwide, drawing attention and resources. Elena's small team approached the hidden anchor using stealth technology derived from Luminary science. The anchor itself was unlike anything they had imagined, a towering crystal structure that seemed to exist partially out of phase with reality. Its surface rippled like water despite being solid, and around it, space itself appeared distorted. It's beautiful, Elena whispered as they observed it from their concealed position. In a terrifying way. Focus, Doctor. The team leader, Commander Santos, reminded her. We have 20 minutes before they detect our presence. Using phase disruptors, they created a stable path through the dimensional distortions surrounding the anchor. As they moved deeper into the structure, they encountered Voidborn guardians, larger, more complex versions of the entities they had fought elsewhere. The battle was intense but brief. The Special Forces team, using weapons specifically designed to combat the Voidborn, managed to clear a path to the anchor's core, a pulsating crystal chamber where countless energy streams converged. "This is it," Marcus said, setting up the disruption device, the quantum interface point for their entire network. Helena connected her specialized tablet to the device, fingers flying across the screen as she input the disruption algorithm they had developed with Sentinel's guidance. Initiating in 10 seconds. Commander Santos suddenly shouted a warning as dimensional rifts opened around them. More Voidborn were phasing in, their crystalline forms vibrating with what Helena could only interpret as rage. "Cover us," Helena yelled to the team as she and Marcus frantically completed the final preparations. A soldier fell beside them, his body freezing solid as a Voidborn touched him. 5 more seconds, Marcus reported, his voice tense. A Voidborn lurched toward them, its geometric appendages reaching for the disruption device. Commander Santos threw herself into its path, firing her weapon even as the creature's touch began to crystallize her arm. "Now," Helena shouted, activating the device. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the energy streams in the chamber began to pulse erratically. The Voidborn around them froze in place, their forms flickering as if caught between dimensions. "It's working," Marcus breathed. "The signal is propagating through their network." Throughout the world, the same phenomenon occurred. Voidborn entities suddenly stopped moving, their forms destabilizing as the disruption signal spread through their quantum connection. Dimensional rifts collapsed, and the anchors they had established began to dissolve. In Antarctica, Helena and the surviving team members watched in awe as the massive anchor structure started to fold in on itself, collapsing into dimensions humans couldn't perceive. "We need to move," Commander Santos urged, cradling her partially crystallized arm. "This whole place is becoming unstable." They barely escaped before the entire structure vanished, leaving behind only a massive crater in the ice. Similar reports came in from around the world. All traces of the Voidborn were disappearing, their technology and presence fading from Earth's reality. 3 days later, Helena stood once again on Mount Kilimanjaro, this time accompanied by leaders from around the world. Sentinel floated before them, its light now joined by several other luminary presences. "You have succeeded beyond our expectations," Sentinel communicated. "The Voidborn have been purged from your world. Their quantum network will take centuries to rebuild." "Will they return?" Helena asked. "Eventually, they may try, but they now know that Earth is not the easy target they believed it to be." The being's light shifted into what seemed like a gesture of respect. "More importantly, you have proven yourselves worthy of recognition in the greater galactic community." The implications were enormous. Earth was no longer alone, no longer isolated in the cosmos. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with hostile aliens, but had demonstrated resilience and ingenuity that impressed even an ancient race like the Luminary. "What happens now?" asked the United Nations Secretary-General. "That is for you to decide," Sentinel replied. "We offer continued alliance, knowledge exchange, and protection until you are ready to take your place among the stellar nations. But your path remains your own to choose." The leaders debated long into the night, weighing the benefits and risks of greater involvement in galactic affairs. By dawn, a consensus had emerged. Humanity would accept the Luminary Alliance, but would develop at its own pace, preserving its cultural identity while learning from its new allies. As the sun rose over Kilimanjaro, Helena watched the luminary vessels in orbit, visible now as points of light brighter than any star. Marcus joined her at the edge of the summit. "Hard to believe that just a year ago, we thought we were alone in the universe," he said quietly. Helena nodded. "And now we're part of something so much bigger." "Do you think we're ready?" She considered the question seriously. Humanity had faced extinction and survived through cooperation, ingenuity, and courage, the very qualities that had allowed them to evolve and thrive on Earth for thousands of years. "I think we've earned our chance to find out," she replied, smiling as the new dawn illuminated a world forever changed by a signal of desperation and the unexpected alliance it had brought. Above them, the luminary ships adjusted their formation, creating a pattern that cast a protective net around Earth, a visible symbol of humanity's new place in a vast and complex galaxy where they were no longer alone, and never would be again.